Welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. We're joined by John Brummett after a brief New Year's hiatus and holiday hiatus. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Did you have a good Christmas and New Year's and all that time off?
Some people over the years have called me kind of a bah humbug type guy, but this year I got into it.
It was those Hallmark movies, wasn't it?
They really put me in the mood. They really put me in the mood. No, it was a great holiday season. I hope you had a good one too.
I did. I had a good one. I actually took a little bit of time off, which is unusual for me.
That is unusual. So. The first time in years I've found it.
And then you get an early year Christmas present. I guess it was a late Christmas present in the fact that Donald Trump, a new book out about the inside of his presidency from Michael Wolff.
Right.
Steve Bannon quoted heavily. It has led to really kind of an epic fissure in the Civil War and the Trump-Bannon relationship here. Put it all in context for me, kind of what's your takeaway from what you've seen in terms of how it's all playing out?
First thing, any White House that would let Michael Wolff in to sit on the couch and watch what's going on for 5 minutes, much less for hours over several days, is unfit. Has demonstrated its incompetence already. The fact that the book was done by this man with any access at all. Wolff is a good writer. He ought to be a screenwriter, and that's kind of the way his books are. Mm-hmm. He overhears, he listens, he hears something here that might have been off the record. He hears something over here, and then when he sits down to write, I know how this is done. I just don't do it. But it's tempting. You put things together to create a scene. Woodward does it a little more credibly than Wolff does. Wolff has a history of but what this is, here's the perspective, and this is my column tomorrow. Daniel Patrick Moynihan once said that culture, conservatives say culture is what rules us, is the most important thing. Liberals say, well, yes, but politics can change the culture. I believe both those things are true. I believe politics can change the culture, and that's the damning effect of bad politics. I think Trump's, my view, complete unfitness for the office, his absence of any redeeming virtue that I can see, is seeping into our entire culture to the point that the party which he has co-opted is now declining, making excuses for him. And now we in the media are saying, well, this guy got kind of a bad reputation. He doesn't really get everything right, but you know, the picture he's painting, sort of like the Churchill movie, is accurate.
Yeah.
So we're lowering our standards as well. So I think the late Moynihan's wisdom in saying the politics can change the culture is being evidenced here. We're all in a state of decline, in my opinion, in a gradual, incremental state of decline because of the regrettable nature of who is our president at the present time.
I had a friend in high school that was a short story writer, and he would write some things from time to time that were based off of real life experiences, and when I would read them I would say, man, did that really happen? And he goes, that's how it should have happened, sort of thing. So the embellishment of what happened just to maybe romanticize it a little bit more, and so perhaps maybe that's what we've seen.
It's an easy thing to do, particularly in a book narrative in which you're not footnoting, and a lot of it is under an understanding that you're a fly on the wall and you can recreate without identifying. It's easy to put things together in well, this paragraph, the narrative isn't really singing right here, but if I borrow from what I heard over here. So what serious people on Meet the Press and in the New York Times and the Washington Post, what they're saying is, don't believe all this little stuff, which is supposed to be how you establish credibility with little stuff. But what he is describing sure sounds true based on what we've seen and what we have not been able to say. One of the panelists yesterday said, whenever you ask somebody, what do you really, say in the Senate, a Republican, what do you really think about what's going on in the White House? They always say, can we go off the record? Because they observe things that they dare not say for the record. So this book, oddly, serves a purpose of getting all that out there for people. I don't think it surprises that many people, but my greater perspective is this one, that it sort of, it it shows how politics can erode and cause a decline in the quality of the culture. I think that's manifest in this example.
Here's one, I think, the defining questions where we are because of this book right now and what it has done to the Trump-Bannon relationship. Has it killed Steve Bannon's influence in Republican Party politics, or is it just temporarily set back?
Well, you always ask good questions every Monday.
You usually provide good answers.
Well, you would think so. You would think that this has severed irreparably a personal and political relationship between Bannon and Trump. You would think that any time, no matter how smart you think you are, if you take on the person on whom the Republican Party is most dependent, the president, Trump, you're going to lose. Trump, you would think by conventional standards, Bannon and Trump are done, they're severed, and Bannon's movement, the anti-deep state, alt-right movement, is severely damaged. However, we have seen Trump go in and out with aides and with people over the years. What's his name? Lewandowski, up and down. He's relying on one guy, then he falls out with this guy, and then it turns out he's calling the guy, and he's sort of like Clinton and Dick Morris. So I'm not prepared to say that in 6 months, in a new climate, with a new set of circumstances, and people who aren't, in my view, guided by strong conviction, that if it's convenient, they can make up. Wouldn't be surprised to see it.
All right, lastly, are we going to see Oprah Winfrey run for president? She gave an incredible speech on Sunday night that has been widely hailed by people who support her, and I think people that might have been a little neutral on whether or not she would do it, but she certainly has made waves.
Well, perspective. My column for tomorrow says what this country needs after Trump. More than any philosophical point of view, more than it needs a good, transparently good, decent person as its president. That's what will help us repair. I wrote it yesterday afternoon, and toward the end I said, who am I talking about? Well, he's too old, but Joe Biden, good old Joe. Or John Kasich, even though I disagree with him on the social issues and who he had nominated for the Supreme Court. Susan Collins, a good, steady, boring Maine Republican. I'd take that. And then I said, and this was before the Golden Globes, Oprah. Although let's be careful, because we're not having that much luck with media celebrity in that office so far. But Oprah might be. And then I thought she was just going to, I watched the Golden Globes, or I was watching at that point, didn't watch all of it. I thought she was going to get up and make just a nice general, thank you very much for this, and talk about her movie roles. And I thought about a minute and a half into it, this is a political speech by someone with a political agenda. And it changed the whole view of what could happen in our politics. I think she was sort of an outside thought about the presidency. I think now she's in the forefront. Whether she can stay there and whether she chooses to or wants to be there remains to be seen. But it was not many people can make a speech like that. Mm-hmm. And draw those anecdotes and those references and bring a crowd to its feet that way. And she can. And her unlike Trump, her record, while not in politics, is of good deeds, good actions. And she, and it's just, it is a whole new, strong factor thrown into the political stew of this country right now.
It was a game-changing speech there. We'll see where it goes. All right, let's take a commercial break and come back and talk a little state politics with John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. We're back right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
Welcome back to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock, joined by John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. All right, since we last sat down on this set right here, a couple of developments. Number one, Jan Morgan has committed to running for governor of the state of Arkansas against incumbent Republican Asa Hutchinson. She made it official on New Year's Eve. What do you assess of her chances in a Republican primary?
Well, they're not quite dismissible. I've described her, and I like it, and she liked it. She put it on social media. She liked it. A combination of a morphing of Ted Nugent, Sarah Palin, and Tommy Robinson. She's telegenic. She's trained in television communications. She is of this Bannon insurgent right. She campaigned in Alabama for Roy Moore. Asa has some issues. Governor Hutchinson has some issues on his right flank because he's tried to govern responsibly and pragmatically, and his right flank doesn't want that. So she is at the minimum, she's going to be a noisemaker, and she's going to be a news maker, and she's going to represent this right-wing resistance and disaffection for Asa. It stands to reason with his credibility in the party, with his time in the party, with the respect he has in the party, he will, I'm not giving her a chance to be the nominee yet, but Skip Rutherford put on Twitter one night some historical context. We have a history in the state of sort of extreme or eccentric candidates opposing an incumbent in a primary, a governor's incumbent in the primary, and getting such a percentage of the vote that it weakens that person or drives them into actions that they might not have taken. Jim Johnson, right. Justice Jim Johnson, scaring Faubus in '56 to the point that Faubus, we had the Central High crisis. Bill Clinton, Monroe Schwartzlow's got 31%, which portended that Frank White was going to beat Bill Clinton. I just think that this could have some effect, not on the outcome of who the nominee is, but on, and not on whether Jared Henderson or what the Democratic nominee will beat Asa if he is the nominee, but the kind of governor Asa will be at least from now until May. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got to shore up his right-wing bona fides, and we're seeing he's already out of nowhere. Hey, open carry. I think that's the law. And then last week he calls in the reporter and said, "Look how much I've cut from Medicaid." I think from now until May he is going to be forced, tactically, to show us his ultra-right side.
There's a candidate for disaffected Republican primary voters to cast their displeasure with Governor Hutchinson, which is what we saw in those other ones that you mentioned.
This state still, to some extent, treats politics as entertainment. She's a personality. I mean, she's the gun goddess. She's the first lady of the Second Amendment. She's on a motorcycle. She's got a gun. She talks. She gave some testimony, which you can see on YouTube, to the legislature, that almost brought me to my feet, even though I disagreed with every syllable she uttered. So she's going to give us something to watch and comment on. And Asa's a little something to worry about. A little something to worry about.
All right, we'll keep our eye on that one. We also learned late last week, too, that there is a potential constitutional amendment to bring limited casinos to Arkansas. 3 casinos would be the total that could be allowed, with the biggest portion of the tax proceeds going to finance roads in Arkansas, highways and some infrastructure. This may actually have some appeal, you and I believe.
Yeah, 2 basic concepts that I'll get on the table first. The idea of writing casinos into the Constitution, and the idea of committing money to highways in the Constitution. I just don't like any of it. But And we've had some horrible proposals. The most recent one was some Missouri guys were writing themselves by name, by LLC name, right, into the Constitution. People got wind of that. This is the smart one. This is the smart one. This is, let's take the, politically smart, let's put casinos in areas of economic depression, where we can get
Jefferson County, Crittenden County,
and one other, where
we
we can get some local officials to realize or to buy the economic benefit, and then let's tell the people we're going to use the money to fix their roads, and maybe even get some road industry establishment people to come along with that. This is the one of all, and over the years we've seen some shady and weird proposals this is the one to take seriously. They've got it right this time. Now, Oakland and the churches and the people like me who think the
Southland.
they're gonna give it all the opposition they feel that it deserves, and it will be vigorous. But this is the most solid, credible, defensible constitutional proposal that I have seen on the issue of casinos. I personally continue to believe that the worst thing you can do to try to shore up Pine Bluff's economy is to put a casino in the middle of it. But it's money, and people in Pine Bluff apparently some have a different view. So, in addition to Jan Morgan and whatever else is happening, this is a proposal to watch.
I will remind people that in 1992 we voted for Bill Clinton for president, Jay Dickey for Congress, and we put term limits in place. So anything can happen in an election cycle in terms of mixed messaging and support.
Well, 68 was it?
Yeah.
George Wallace for president, J. William Fulbright, and Winthrop Rockefeller, an anti-war Senate Democrat, a segregationist Southerner, and a liberal integrationist Republican transplant from New York. And it makes perfect sense if you're here in Arkansas.
Last
right?
question.
Yes.
Last question for you. Alabama or Georgia in tonight's national title game?
Let me just say this about that. I have never encountered a sporting event of consequence that interests me less.
Oh, really?
Alabama and Georgia, they got great players. There is not a player on the Razorback roster who could be on the field tonight that could break into I always got to take a shot at the Razorback. I mean, they're big, they're strong, they're fast. They got the coach, and then the coach's assistant, and the fans are all, and it's going to be blah blah blah. I don't care, Georgia or Alabama. I wish they could both lose. I just wish they could both lose.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm going to make my pick. I think the SEC is going to get back into the national championship.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. SEC. That's the main battle cry Arkansas's got left. The Razorbacks are so bad. Arkansas fans are relying on their conference affiliation for their validation. You made the mistake. You shouldn't have brought up football.
John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. He typically writes on politics, not sports, but every now and then he's been known to
it's the same thing.
wade in that pool.
It's just that sports is more important than politics.
Thanks for being here.
All right, you bet.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.